Hi, I'm Dom Famularo. I'm at the NAMM show right now. This is absolutely crazy. I traveled last year in 2016, 222,000 miles. That's 9 times around the earth. Am I crazy? Absolutely! The passion of music and what I do, what David is doing with musicians on the record is magical. It's exciting. The interviews you'll hear, you'll get a chance to hear me. So listen, have fun, be inspired, and now go out and seek your own passion. Musicians on the freaking record. Bring it on. Woo! 1, 2, 3, 4. This is huge, musicians on the record. Bring it on.
So you make this decision that you want to make music your career. You've met all of these amazing musicians. You've got these amazing teachers. When you made that decision, what kind of challenges or obstacles came up for you along your professional path that maybe tried to get in your way or discourage you a little bit?
Well, great question, David. And it's a great question because there are always going to be obstacles that are going to challenge us.
Yeah.
And what I had to learn is when that wall was put in front of me and that obstacle was there, I had to make a decision. Do I want to climb over the wall? Do I want to dig under it? Do I want to try and run around it? Or do I want to break through it? But I had to understand the tool, and I use this word as a tool, the tool of perseverance. It means to never give up. Quitting is not an option. I had to learn that tool when these obstacles hit me. Here I am on Long Island. I'm backstage one day at a buddy show, and who sits next to me? Joe Morello. The Dave Brubeck Quartet, playing on the Ed Sullivan Show, television shows. I've got the albums. I've got Morello sitting next to me. And Morello, who was legally blind, had his dog Matthew with him, with a seeing eye dog.
Okay.
And so here he comes in with this dog. I'm sitting in the middle. Al Miller's to my left, and I'm sitting in between Al Miller and Morello. I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of experiencing this excitement of it. Like I'm going, like, God, I'm sitting with my teacher, Al Miller, I have respect for. Morello, who I've listened to all of his albums. We're watching Buddy. I said, God, this is incredible. So that night, Buddy played a solo in the first set that was so, he went like above and beyond. He always played great, but this, knowing that Morello and Al were there on the stage, he turned up the notch a little. What I mean by that is he played like a 20-minute solo on the snare drum during a solo. Didn't go to any cymbals or toms. Stayed on the snare drum.
Wow. And
that solo on the snare drum with dynamics and high strokes and playing, he brings an audience of 2,000 people to their feet, screaming and yelling.
Unbelievable.
From a snare drum solo.
Right.
And I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm going, what the heck is going on? He's playing high and low strokes, and he's playing accents all over the place and singles. And he plays the solo, counts the band back in. The band comes in, finishes the solo, tells the crowd, thank you so much. I'll see you in a half an hour for a second set, and walks off the stage. I sit back, and I go, what the heck just happened? So I lean up, and I said, and I said that to Al. I said, guys, I look over at Joe and I said, what the hell did you do? What did we just witness? So Al, my teacher, goes, I got to tell you something. I have no idea what the heck he just did.
Wow.
He said, I have no idea. He just turned on an ingredient that I've never seen before. Morello turns over, crosses his arms, and says this. He played a series of low strokes, half strokes, and full strokes. Pull outs and control strokes, playing the free stroke in Moeller.
Wow.
So I start laughing.
Yeah.
I said, wow, that's funny.
He broke it down.
Joe says, why are you laughing? And I said, because I said, Mr. Morello, that just sounded so academic.
Right.
The way he analyzed that. He says, well, he said to me, that's what he did. Now my New York came out. I said, okay, wait a second. Say that again a little slower.
Right.
But Joe says, He played a series of low strokes, half strokes, and full strokes.
Okay.
Playing the free stroke, the rebound, and Moeller. Using pullouts, 2 notes, soft tap, loud accent. Control strokes, 2 notes, accent to low stroke. So he put a series of all that together in his playing, using expression. Those are the tools. That's what he did.
Yeah.
I said, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I said, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So at that point, Al Miller then leans over and says, Dom, listen, you've been with me now for a while. Maybe it's best you start studying with Mr. Morello. So I turned to Joe and I said, listen, Mr. Morello, is it possible you have any openings of your time? Yeah. He said, absolutely. Wow. I said, here's his number. He gives me his number. I write it out. The store he was teaching at, which was called Dorn, D-O-R-N, Dorn and Kirshner. Okay. He gives you the number. I write it. I says, call me tomorrow and we'll schedule a lesson. Put in my pocket. Buddy comes back and finishes up. The next day I call Morello. The next day on that Tuesday, I'm driving to New Jersey to take a lesson with Morello.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
We get to the first lesson. We come in. Joe remembers me from the night before. Wasn't that great with Buddy? It was great. Thank you so much. The whole thing. And he says, now what do you want to work on? I said, Mr. Morello, all those things you talked about, that's what I want to learn.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Both things. The low half full, the free stroke Moeller. I want all that stuff. Right. He said, okay, let's begin. And that began the journey of how the foundation that Al and Ronnie and Charlie gave me was the right foundation I needed to then sit with Morello.
Yeah.
From Morello, then I went to Jim Chapin. Then I moved to California and went to Shelly Mann and Louis Belson and Colin Bailey. Wow. Then came back to New York and met up with the guys like Ted Reed and Arnie Lang and Henry Adler. And all these guys opened me up to an incredible depth of knowledge that I was getting at a younger age that I thought everyone learned this way. Realized, as I began to travel around the world, nobody had all this information, and that began my journey as a first teacher. All the concepts. So that, at that point, once starting with Morello and these teachers, that began to change my playing and the whole thing.
So can you talk a little bit about Jim Chapin, your relationship with him, what you learned from him as a drum teacher and student?
Absolutely. Jim was actually lived here on Long Island, and he lived in Sag Harbor, which is further east than where I lived. And I kind of live in the middle of Long Island. Long Island is shaped like a fish, and I'm kind of in the middle. And Jim Chapin was further towards the tail of the fish, and the head of the fish was Queens, that was close to New York City. Jim, I met Jim in the early days, again at backstage with Buddy, and I was with Morello at the time. And while I was with Morello learning this free stroke and this George Lawrence Stone rebound, it was then Joe said that you're ready for Chapin to learn Moeller. So I started studying with Jim while I was still with Morello, and continued that ongoing double hit of lessons going on. And Morello kind of gave me the actual free stroke and the wrist George Lawrence Stone focus, while Jim Chapin, who was the best student from Sanford Moeller, kind of gave me the bigger technique and these bigger arm motions. So with Jim was a student of Sanford Moeller back in 1938, and as the story goes, Jim was a young kid. Jim was born in 1920. He's 18 years old. He goes to see Gene Krupa play at the Metropole, which was a very famous jazz club in New York City at the time, that Gene played there a lot. At the Metropole, Jim sees, Krupa and just is blown away by the magic. And Jim had never played drums before.
Wow.
Happened with a girlfriend, sees Gene play, and the show walks up to Gene and says, Mr. Krupa, I'm so impressed with your playing. I want to play drums the rest of my life, and I want you to be my teacher.
Wow.
The fact that he was that inspired, that kind of a nerve to say to Mr. Krupa, I want you to be my teacher.
Right.
I mean, that's like walking up to Steve Gadd right now.
Right.
And then walking and say, man, Steve Gadd, you're great. I want you to be my teacher. It's like, So Gene, who was an absolute saint as a person, said to Jim, boy, thank you so much. I'm complimented that you would want me to teach you. He said, but I'm not really teaching now. I'm busy traveling. He said, but I'm going to give you the name of my teacher, Sanford Augustus Moeller. His number, and it was in 1938 that Jim then started studying with Moeller. And Moeller lived in Queens, Long Island. Jim's mother had a place in Queens at the time where Jim was living. And then Jim ended up moving out to Southampton when Jim got married. So in the early days, Jim was living in Queens, studying with Moeller, getting together with all these great players because he lived near New York, and learned this process. So Jim became now the carrying on of the torch of this Moeller teaching until eventually when Moeller stopped teaching because he felt he got too old and turned it over to Jim. He recommended all of his students to Jim to the point that Moeller went to a Gene Krupa concert back in the mid to late 50s. And when Gene was playing, Moeller had talked to Gene afterwards and said, listen, Gene, you want to get your shoulders a little bit more relaxed and keep your elbows in more, help you out some more. He said, oh, Mr. Moeller, man, thank you so much. You always help me out. That's great advice. He said, I want to come back for lessons. And Moeller said, gee, I'm sorry, I'm not teaching anything anymore. If you want to learn my technique, you got to go to Jim Chapin. So Gene now calls up Jim.
Oh, God.
This turnaround.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Now Krupa calls up Jim.
Wow.
So Jim says, so I get a phone call. All right, my name is Gene Krupa, and I want lessons. So I said, Jim, that's amazing. What'd you do? He said, I hung up.
Right. That was a crank call.
Who was this nut calling me saying, Jim, I hung up the phone? I said, well, what do you mean? What happened? He goes, it rang immediately. I picked it up again, and he said, don't hang up, don't hang up. I got your number from Moeller.
Wow.
This is Gene Krupa.
Amazing.
So when Jim said, well, what do you call me? He says, I want to come back and take some lessons. So I've got a picture here in my studio that is a picture of Gene around the time he was studying with Jim.
Wow.
And that Jim gave me, and that it was amazing to have that. Gene then went back in the 50s to study with Jim to get this technique down and fine-tune it, which just showed the fact that, you know, Gene was still looking to learn and grow in the later part of his life.
Yeah.
That to me is the message, David. That's the message that Chapin shows. So I get to meet Chapin, and I'm studying with Chapin, and I'm having an incredible time. And Jim became a dear friend, and I became actually a very good friend with Jim, to the fact that later on in his life, when Jim passed away, you know, the day before he passed away, he signed over his books and all his products to me to take, be the custodian.
Amazing.
And I organize it and send, you know, checks to the family and keep Jim's name alive, traveling around the world, putting his product and doing his thing. And an interesting story about Jim, a quick story, is that when Jim was ill, he moved down to Florida. The weather was nicer, and he was in kind of like was first started as a rehab place and became a nursing home for him. Okay. When he ended up having to stay there. And so I would travel down to Florida once a month if I could, just to get a flight to go down there. And with all my points of traveling, I'd just go down there either by myself or with my wife, and just go down and just see Jim and spend some time with him and then come back. And I was organizing his books and his finances for him. So I would go down to update Jim about his finances and what he was doing and stuff like that, and give him a check and just keep him in tune with what's happening. Yeah. So one of the last visits was on July 3rd. 2009, and when I got down to the hospital / nursing home, one of the doctors met me at the door, and he said, Dom, I know you come here a lot. I've seen you here many times, and I've spoken to him before. He said, it doesn't look good for Jim. It's you know, he's really getting ill. So I just want to let you know before you go up there and see him. Wow, I said, boy, thanks so much. I said, well, we knew this was happening. He was declining in the process. So let's go up and see him. So we're walking up, and we're taking the elevator up, and I said, well, it'll be good to kind of just see him, and I'm kind of like preparing myself. Yeah. The elevator door opens. As we're walking towards Jim's room, we hear a practice pad being played. Wow. Like blazing.
Amazing.
Blazing. I mean, Jacob, it's like this. It's like this. Yeah. It's like cranking along the way.
Incredible.
So I said to the doctor, I said, well, this is great, man. One of the students is here playing for him. How great is this? We walk in the room, and it's Chapin sitting up in bed with a pad on his lap. He's playing match grip.
Wow.
Match grip. He played traditional for a good part of his life. Match grip. And he's playing, and I turned to the doctor as I got into the door, and I said to the doctor, this is the guy that's on his last thread? Right. And the doctor goes, this is incredible.
Wow.
So I walk up to Jim, and as I always did when I saw Jim, I'd kiss him on his forehead and say, Jim, I said, I love seeing you. I said, I got to ask you, Jim, what are you doing?
Right.
He very inquisitive and said, I'm practicing. Like, I'm practicing. He said, you know something? My match grip is getting a lot better. So at that point, he was improving tremendously. So we had a wonderful talk, a hang session. I kissed him again on the forehead and left. And it was so inspiring of what it was. I get back home that night, and the next morning, I got the call that Jim had passed. And here's what's interesting. At the meeting that I had with Jim, in the hospital. He said to me, and he just brought this up on his own. He says, Dom, I want you to know my two most influential writers. Now, Jim was a very well-read, genius blood. He had a very extremely high IQ. Mensa used to call him all the time to join Mensa. Oh. And he would decline them because he didn't want to get involved with that stuff. But I witnessed Mensa call him.
Yeah.
This high IQ organization that's calling Jim Chapin to join.
Right, yeah.
And which was powerful. So, and Jim said to me, my two favorite writers were John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. And this is July 3rd. So I said, wow, Jim. I said, that's interesting. I said, why would they be your two greatest writers? Why wouldn't Joyce or all these other great writers? Why wouldn't they? Why would John Adams and Thomas Jefferson? He said, because they wrote a document that lasted through time. It still is relevant.
Sure.
He said, it's kind of like my book. My book is still strong. Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer, still going strong at this day. So I said, wow, Jim. I said, that's very interesting. I'm going to do a little more research into those guys. So I kiss him, I leave, and I go back. So I get back home. So now the next day is July 4th. I get the phone call that Jim Chapin died. Now, we call Jim the father of independence because of his book.
Right.
And this guy's not independent.
That's unbelievable. Right. Yeah.
And he tells me that the two guys, his favorite writers, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. Now, here's where history comes in. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, the composers of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, both died on the same day in 1826.
Is that right?
On July 4th.
On July 4th. That's incredible. Wow.
The 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. They died on the same day, just a few hours apart.
That's amazing.
It's almost like Jim was setting me up to say, I'm going out tomorrow.
Right.
The father of independence died on Independence Day. And
that's the power of drumming, right? Right till the very end, the last day, he was doing it. It's incredible.
Absolutely. So it was a pretty incredible, scenario to witness and be a part of.
It's an amazing story. Now, I didn't realize this. I'm sure a lot of people do, but until we started talking and I started watching some videos with Jim Chapin, this is Harry Chapin's dad we're talking about, right?
Absolutely. Harry Chapin, who I had the chance to meet many times. Harry Chapin, a great songwriter, Cats in the Cradle, Taxis, powerful. Harry lived here on Long Island in a town called Huntington, not that far from where I was living. Jim would get together with me all the times, and because he was on the east coast of Long Island, he would drive past my house, always stop at my house for a kind of a pit stop, and then drive on to New York wherever he was going.
Yeah.
I had the chance of meeting Jim with Harry on many occasions. And Harry was just a phenomenal person, an incredible writer. And if you get a chance to research Harry and just listen to the lyrics of his songs and his music, very powerful guy. And Harry always said to me, he goes, I got involved with music because Dad, meaning Jim, the time he came home from performing, he was always happy.
Yeah.
He's always in a good mood. He said, my memories of my father was he was always happy. He was always fun to be around with. It was always about music and the joy of life. And I said, I want to be a part of that.
Sure.
So Harry put his focus and lyrics and songwriting into what he did and became a very powerful force in the drumming, in the music community.
It's amazing. I've heard the story in other places, but will you tell the story of Jim Chapin and Washington, D.C.? Do you know the story I'm talking about? With Jimmy Carter, I believe.
This is Harry Chapin's story. Yes. That Harry and Jim told me.
Yeah.
This is a powerful line for many reasons. That Harry Chapin, inspired by his father, to see what his father did by writing this drum book that was so powerful, and playing drums and teaching and having such an incredible influence in the music and drumming world, that Harry started to get involved. So as Harry built his career, Harry started traveling around America, and when Harry traveled into different cities in America, he started to see many, poor people and many people that were dying of starvation, and that just didn't have enough food. And Harry just couldn't comprehend that in America, the abundance of what America has, that there can be people that are dying of starvation, kids.
Right.
And this really bothered Harry, and he felt that he had to use his power of his music to help work on that. So he began to see these different cities. And then he began to do research in other nations. Same thing's happening in England, in Italy, in France. that tons of poverty people that were dying of starvation in these wealthy countries.
Yeah.
So Harry now, this is back now in 77, he's got a #1 song. He's on every television show.
Yeah.
At the time, Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas, all these afternoon evening talk shows. Harry was there. TV specials. Harry was a huge star. And I knew him from Long Island. So Harry makes a meeting with President Carter, and he wants to talk to him. So because of the different congressmen and senators that he knew, they were able to set up a meeting with Harry Chapin. And Harry was a top star in the music industry. The president felt this was good to meet with Harry to see what Harry wanted to talk about. Harry meets with Carter. They walk into the Oval Office, and Harry says, President Carter, wonderful to meet you. He said, I've got a request that I have. I want you to start a World Hunger Organization, start to displace and feed people for starting here in America, in this wealthy nation, that we children and adults starving with no food.
Yeah.
This is absolutely unacceptable in a country that we live in, like America.
Yes.
So President Carter says back and says, well, Harry, I didn't know this is what your request was, and that's a pretty powerful request. He said, I'll start looking into this focus and see what we can do. So Harry says, well, I have a document here that I put together with a lawyer that I want you to sign. And when you sign this here, it's going to have you commit to putting this world organization to get together by other countries and making this happen.
Yeah.
So President Carter says, well, Harry, that's wonderful that you've done that. He said, and puts in the document, says, what I'll do is I'll have a team of people look at this and analyze it, and then we'll get to it. And Harry sat up and said, no, Mr. President, I don't think you understand. I need you to sign this now, start this, because as we're speaking, people are dying of starvation.
Right.
President Carter said, well, he said, listen, Harry, this is really not the way it works out. He said, we got to put together a team of people. We got to contact the countries. We got to do some research. This is time to put together. And Harry says, I don't think you understand how it works out.
Yeah, wow.
This conversation, young kids are dying of starvation. He said, so Harry goes, sign the contract. Now he is talking. So President Carter says, Harry, he says, Mr. President, and Harry sat back in his chair and said, I'm not leaving until you sign it. If you want me out of the White House, you're going to have to throw me out physically. I don't think that's going to look too good in the public.
That's right. That's right.
With the press.
Yeah.
So Carter leans up and says, you're holding me hostage. And Harry said, sir, you call it what you want. Sign the contract and let's start putting money towards feeding these kids.
Absolutely.
And Carter stepped back and said, Harry, I can see your passion and your commitment. Carter signed the document.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
That became the beginning of the World Hunger Program. Now, the story of Harry goes to here now. So Harry's agent at the time was Ken Cragen. Ken Cragen was a manager who managed Harry Chapin. You got to go back. This is the mid-'70s.
Yep.
Harry Chapin, he managed a young Michael Jackson,
Wow.
Lionel Richie, Harry Belafonte, and Kenny Rogers. These were all big stars.
Sure.
Growing bigger. And Harry was one of his clients. So Harry wanted Ken to organize these artists to help raise money for the organization. And what Harry was doing was his next album that was going to go out, he talked to the record label and said, listen, I'm going to donate all of my proceeds of the record towards the World Hunger Program. I want you to donate all your money. No one's going to make any money out of it. All the money is going to be funded towards this World Hunger Program to give Carter some money, millions of dollars, to start working on this program. So he told Carter, that's what I'm going to do. I want to see what you're going to do. So when Carter saw this, he goes, wow, you've got the music industry behind it. Let's make this happen. So Harry was on the Long Island Expressway driving into New York to sign the contract for this deal. He got into a car crash that eventually killed him
sad.
in an accident on the Long Island Expressway at exit 39. Now, I'm teaching at a drum shop on Long Island with Jim Chapin. I'm in room 1, Jim's in room 2. And we always do that. I would drive with Jim, I'd pick him up, and we go and we teach, and then go out to the bite to eat after dinner, and then I'd drive Jim home. And so here we are. We're in it. So while we're there, I had a break for a student. I'm standing by the phone. The store was busy. The phone rang. I answered it. I would never answer the phone, but I answered it. How you doing? This is Dom speaking, whatever. And it was Jim's wife, Manya. And she called him. She goes, Dom, this is Manya. I need to speak to Jim. there was a car crash on the LIE, and we think it was Harry.
Mm.
I said, whoa, hang on 1 second. So now I got to go into the room.
Yeah.
Jim's lesson.
Mm.
So I get Jim out of the lesson. He comes to the phone, and the first call from Manya was, they think it was Harry. I'm going to have a detective call you.
Mm.
So he had no identification on him. But when they described the car and the license plate, Manya said, I recognize that. So now he hangs up from Manya, goes back into the room to teach, and I'm standing there. He filming in what was going down. And I was like, oh my God. Now we're hearing on the radio.
Oh, God.
Accident on the Long Island Expressway, helicopter, it takes a person to East Meadow, hospital.
Yeah.
And we hear also backup traffic, and we're going, oh man, it's going to be a mess on the road tonight. There was this accident.
Yeah.
Next call comes in. I answer the phone. This is Detective so-and-so. I need to speak to Jim Chapin.
Mm.
1 moment, sir. I put the phone down. I'm back in the room. I get Jim. Jim comes back out, sits down, picks up the phone, and the detective said, Mr. Chapin, we found something. He says, this person that we are analyzing is deceased. He's passed away.
Mm.
We have no identification, but we have a gold pocket watch. He said, so Jim said, yeah, that's the pocket watch I gave him. He says, can you tell me what the inscription is in there?
Mm.
He said, to Harry, my loving son, Jim. And the detective said, this is your son. We need you to come here to identify the body.
Awful. Yeah.
Tim tells me this, hangs up the phone, tells me this here, and then gets in his car and it's got to drive to the hospital too. So this was what went down with Harry. So now what happened is Harry now is on his way going to do this here. So when Ken Cragen gets the news that this whole thing goes down with Harry's death, it's on the news, it's on CNN, you name it, every.
Sure.
So now Ken Cragen decides to take 2 of his clients to have them write a song that can raise money. He sits down with Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie and says, guys, write us a song.
Yeah.
Right, We Are the World. They put together that video image that we recognize from all those years of getting all those artists together, sing the song to dedicate it. And if you ever watch the clip of that, it says, We Are the World, dedicated to the late, great Harry Chapin.
Wow, it's amazing.
So he was different in his life, but he something so passionate. And it was music that gave him the chance to open up his eyes.
Absolutely.
Purpose and cause to make a difference.
And you think about how many people, he wanted to help people and feed people through the power of his music. But even through his death, look how many people he fed and helped and inspired with that music. It's amazing.
Absolutely. When you think about the power of that and the intensity of that wave that was started, that to this day we still have this program happening that started by one single passionate effort that took action. I always say in the music industry, when I go to different traveling around the world and I meet different musicians or different music store owners or people in the music industry, they begin to complain about the music industry is changing and the recording industry is changing and the kids are not learning and the internet and the technology, it's all changing, and they all complain about it.
Right.
I have a line that I said, listen, guys, complaining without action is whining.
Right.
Don't whine. Make a change. Put action behind your cause that you see and make a difference. That's what Harry did. And that's what Jim did by writing his book and going out and teaching and doing all that Jim did.